Ma? Okay. Shalom, everybody. A few weeks ago, we had a lovely experience of learning together and understanding the controversial issue about sex selection using the PGD technology. We succeeded to understand the issue, to raise the arguments towards both directions, to realize what exactly the legislation in Israel are, and to have some exercise, real cases that I brought from Israel, and trying to judge and to decide, will we permit using this technology or not? I'm sure you remember every word. But unfortunately, we had to stop in the middle because there was a fire exercise or something, and I promised you that I will conclude and summarize some of the halachic out of our tradition, our Torah. What is actually the idea behind it? What is the attitude, the approach? And is there any kind of halacha, psak halacha, that is connected to these issues? And I promised that I will send you a short movie about it. And as you know, if you want to be very ethical, you should keep all your promises. And also the Torah says, tzedek tzedek tirdof, sheyeh hen shelcha tzedek, velav shelcha tzedek. We must fulfill our commitments, and I'm trying to do that in a few minutes. Let's say it that way. This technology is brand new. Nobody even thought about it 3 or 4 decades ago. Therefore, obviously, there's no a direct halacha approach towards using or deciding if we can, if we are permitted to use it, to choose in advance if we want a boy or a girl or not. Most, or maybe I can say all the halacha scholars say that you're not forced to use it. You could have think that someone will say, because according to halacha you have to have a boy and a girl in order to fulfill the mitzvah of pruvu. Therefore, if someone has only girls or only boys, he must use this technology in order to fulfill his commitments. As far as I know, no rabbi in the world said such a thing. And that's part of our halachic approach that says that you are not committed to use all kinds of technologies, definitely if there's even a tiny danger, in order to fulfill the halacha, not in the natural way. And therefore, as far as I know, as I said, no rabbi in the world said that someone must use this technology. In our committee, many families come and say, according to halacha, we must have a child that will say Kaddish after us. And in Israel, in most of the Batei Knesset, most of the shuls, women don't say Kaddish. So therefore, they want to convince our committee that in order to have, that someone will say Kaddish after them, they must have a boy, and the committee should permit them to use this technology. But this is it's not a claim that is acceptable, and this is not a reason to use, to kind of a genetic diagnosis, even though it's not genetic engineering, but using all kinds of selections with genes, we should stop it. So therefore, again, most, as far as I know, of the Rabbonim say that someone even is not forced to have a boy in order to say Kaddish. So this is something that is not a controversial issue. The question is if you are permitted to use it. And that means if you want to have a boy or a girl, not because the halacha says you must have it, because the halacha didn't say that. Are you permitted to do that? And this is a very controversial issue because actually there's no real mekorot, no real sources that you can say things out of it. One thing you can say, according to our mekorot, and that is that Chazal recognize the fact that you want a boy or a girl as a need. And they did say that we can understand people that want a boy or a girl. For instance, they say that if your wife is pregnant and you are praying that it will be a boy or a girl, so this is a tfilat shav. It's a waste of the tfilah, because it was already, the decision was made immediately in the fertilization second. But you can learn out of it that the principle of preferring having a boy or a girl is recognized by Chazal. It's only a problem of a hilchot tfilah, but not your will. Also, the Agada says that Leah, when she was pregnant, and in the 7th time, she knew she had a boy, and she understood that if she'll give birth to a boy, therefore Rachel, her sister, will have only one boy left, because there will be 12. Therefore, she prayed towards Hashem, she recited, and she said that I'm asking that it will convert to a girl, and this is Dinah. So I'm not talking about science when I'm learning this Agadah, but I can learn from that wanting to have a boy or a girl is not a bad thing in many cases. The problem is using this technology, because we learned in our shiur, in my lecture, that there are very good arguments against permitting to use this technology. So therefore, if I'm trying to summarize what is the rabbi's opinion in Israel about this technology, I can say it's very moderate. And that is not far from the legislations of the law. That means, if you'll ask a rabbi, can I use it? He'll try to convince you not to do that. If you don't have a real good reason, if it's only part of your dreams that you will have children from both sex, or if it's wanting to say Kaddish and all kinds of these arguments, the rabbi will say, you shouldn't do that. Because this is a kind of interacting in nature, even though we are not against that. Every technology is actually a kind of intervene. But this is deeper, because it's your human body. There is a tiny risk, but there is a risk using this technology, hyperstimulation and all kinds of problems that the woman can have using this technology. So they let things be under Hashem's control and don't start doing all those crazy things. But if there is a real need, if from the psychology point of view, or your dreams are really making you crazy, and this is you suffer, you really suffer from the fact that you don't have a child from both sex, then the opinion of rabbis will say that in general or in principle you are permitted to use this technology. So there's no real enthusiasm to use it, and actually most of the poskim will say we prefer that gains in interrupting in fertilization and in pregnancy by sorting and using genes as a source of decision. It's better not to do that. But we cannot say it's prohibited. It's not an issue. According to our tradition, people are permitted to do all kinds of scientific things, use technology. We are not against it. So therefore, it's actually related, and it's actually, you have to ask yourself, as much as the need is really there, this will be a good reason to use this technology. From my personal opinion, I really identify myself with this opinion. That means you better not. Let things be on the natural way. Don't think that you can engineer and you can design the whole world. Live in the life that what you're blessed by children, even if there are only boys or only girls. This is the situation. Don't start trying trying to break the structure, to break the framework that you are in it. But even this principle should be limited, and when there is a real need and you're getting crazy and you're suffering and you cannot continue in your general life because you know there is an ability, an opportunity, and therefore we want to use it, so the halacha will not stop you, even though, as I said, it will not encourage you, it will not pursue you, and it even will say, you should not use it if you can. So these are the words that I wanted to add in the last 10 minutes of our lecture and our discussion. And again, thank you very much for having me. It was a great experience, and I only wanted to give you a taste of a dilemma, halachic dilemma, ethical dilemma, that is not only personal, it's also, when you live in Israel, it's part of the Jewish state. It's a question of a policy, a Jewish policy of the state. And what's more interesting is that these are things that we have to ask ourselves, and we do it in our yeshiva very, very much, and we are trying to search after the good answers, the right answers of the halacha regarding new technologies and ethical questions and dilemmas. And I think this is one of the things that are really inspiring learning Torah in Eretz Israel, in the approach of understanding the importance of having a general approach towards ethical questions through the glasses of halacha and tradition. So again, I'd love to see you in Israel. If you come, you're invited to our yeshiva. You come and visit, come and see if you want to be part of it. And next time we'll meet, probably we'll have a new question. Shalom from Israel.